Hello, everybody. Happy day after full moon, wherever you are. So this is going to be a video addressing some of the questions that you put down on the Joanna the Healer private Facebook. We'll go through as many questions as we can within the hour. Also, what I will do, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. What I will do is I will always try to answer the question in a way that serves everyone who's listening. Before I continue, Valicia, say hi.
So, hello, everyone.
For those of you who are in the Higher Consciousness Gateway membership program, you know Valicia, she is my sidekick. And as a matter of fact, so she helps me in the background, but her and I are actually co-offering a program at the end of November, which is something that many of you have been asking me for. Joanna, how do I start my own business? How do I offer my services? How do I offer my healing services to the world? So the two of us came together because Valicia has a business background, so do I, and we've come up with a 2-day workshop to give you foundations of what you need in order to basically take your goods, your services out into the world. And because I am part of it, there's going to be obviously a spiritual component to it, which is helping you understand your blocks, helping you move through your blocks, helping you understand, do you believe really deeply, unconsciously in what you are offering to the world? Because you can have the most amazing gift or the most amazing product or service, but if you don't believe in your own abilities, you're going to be swimming against the current. And that's a lot of energy, a lot of output for not a lot of return. So it has to be, the 3D has to coincide with the spiritual. The conscious has to match the unconscious. And you guys probably already know that I am all about knowing yourself and knowing your truth, which is mostly unconscious. So if you are interested in that, there is a link down there below somewhere. It's called The Art of Selling. It starts on November 20th. First session is November 20th. The second session is November 27th. It's Saturday, so it's going to work with pretty much almost everybody. Normally, I don't try not to work weekends, but we thought this is going to give people opportunity to join. This is a very small class. We are only taking 25 people. We have 10 spots left. And until October 31st, there is a $50 discount if you want to join. Yeah. Check with your intuition. You might learn something that will take your service or your product out into the world. So check with your intuition. The other thing is, I noticed some of your questions are about relationships. So I am running a webinar on healing relationships, and especially your relationship with you, which is working through your inner child, which is where our story lives, which is mostly unconscious. And that webinar is on November 18th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And there is also a coupon or a discount until October 31st. So if you click on the link below, you will get the lower price. And this is working with your unconscious to help you understand, what are your beliefs about relationships? So if you're struggling with someone, it's helping you get insight as to what is the struggle, what are you learning from this? Because everything that we are in experience of, it is for our benefit. As much as it may not seem like it, it is for our benefit when we look at it from a higher perspective. So if you are interested in that, that link is down below. Is there anything else that I'm missing? And the reason why I'm sharing this with you, because you guys have been asking me, my team has been on me for quite a while to offer webinars where I can work with groups of people rather than one-on-one. So my work is really shifting from one-on-one to more in groups. And I've mentioned that before, and that's really where I feel I can make the biggest difference, is to help as many people as I can in one sitting. I can only do so much one-on-one. Is there anything else that I'm missing? So they're asking me to mention that my entire business model, if you will, or how I approach my work is also shifting. So I am in the middle of my shift. I've mentioned this before. And sometime early next year, you will be seeing something from me that will be alongside of offering, is it a program or a course? Basically a way for people to transform in a way that I haven't done before. So I can't really tell you too much because I'm in the middle of creating it right now. So that will be coming up sometime next year. So if you're interested in being up to date, you can just click on my website and subscribe to my newsletter. And I'll be posting things here as well. And last but not least, you might have noticed that I have started to call myself self-mastery coach. And there's a very good reason for that. Well, I have outgrown the healer, just like I have outgrown being the medium. And now I'm wearing the coat of self-mastery coach. So you will be seeing me introducing myself as Joanna, self-mastery coach, more so than the healer. So there will be a transition. And there's a reason for that. And here's the reason. My job is really to help you understand yourself. And the label of a healer assumes that I do the healing for you. And I can't do that. I offer opportunity for healing. I can help you energetically with your healing. But at the end of the day, if you do not understand yourself, if you don't know how you work, if you don't know how you leak your power, then you effectively cannot heal. So the title of self-mastery coach is much more fitting in terms of what I offer. And with having said that, the way I will be answering the questions will be from the perspective of a self-mastery coach, which is not telling you what's going to happen, but helping you understand what's going on inside of you so that when you are aware, you can predict what's going to happen. That's really where your power is. And that is what I am most passionate about. That is what I'm an expert at. And that is what I love and enjoy doing the most. I've done the medium thing, and I'm always going to be a medium because I channel. I've done the psychic thing. The psychic thing never really worked with me. I've always had resistance to it, but I needed to go through that phase in order to help me gain confidence in what I receive. Also, when I call myself a psychic, there is a certain presumption that I will do certain things for you. And generally, when you see a psychic, you assume that they will tell you things. Although I do say things to you, I don't tell you things. I don't predict your future. That is not what I focus on. It does come true. It's part of my work, but it is absolutely not what I focus on because, again, my job is to helping you recognize your own power, which is helping you see how you create your own life. And that's all about empowerment. So if you're into that sort of thing, and believe it or not many people are. Many people say they are, but when it actually comes down to doing the work, because it is absolutely hard work, it's the hardest work you will ever do. The moment many people look at, oh, they run in the other direction. So the type of work that I offer is not for the faint of heart. And it may disappoint some of you, but for some of you, it'll be just exactly what you need. So if you are into feeling more empowered rather than people telling you what to do or what's going to happen, then I'm your gal. If you are interested in people telling you predictions and you basing your life based on what somebody else says, then I'm not your gal, because to me, that's not empowering. So that's what I want to say. And I feel very grounded in this message. I would not have been this grounded a few years ago. I needed to grow into my own confidence in order to say this truth out loud. I wasn't as confident, so I catered more to what people wanted. And that was disempowering to me and to the person. So that's what I want to share with you. Does that make sense, Felicia, what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you've known me. I've known Felicia for what, 6 years now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've seen the transition, right?
Of course, yeah.
And every time I shift in myself, because if my job is to help you understand yourself, I have to understand me. If I can help you, if I'm here to help to understand human condition, I have to understand my condition, which means I have to do the work. I have to get down and dirty and do the thing that scares people the most, which is look at your shadows. But that's what I enjoy doing the most. And it's scary and uncomfortable as FUCK, but the dividends that come from that are priceless, absolutely priceless. And I will say again, not many people are willing to do that. People say they are willing, but the moment they face what needs to be done, they bolt in the other direction. So if you're listening to this, chances are you're brave. And if that's the case, pat yourself on the back. Okay. All right, Felicia, hit me with the questions.
All right, here
Let's
we
see what we
go.
got.
Okay, so first question from Megan. So I'm gonna read the questions. You decide how
Perfect.
you want to. Yeah, I would like to connect with extraterrestrials, angels, spirit guides. Does my diet need to change in order to do this? If not, what specifically would help me achieve this? I have had ringing in the ears and have heard trumpets before and have the feeling that somebody is trying to connect with me.
So right away, Megan, thank you for your question. The moment I hear the question, I'm getting an anxiety. And I'll tell you why. Saying I want to connect with extraterrestrials is like saying, hey guys, my house is open, come in. Which means you will get connected with extraterrestrials, but you may not get connected with the ones you want. So what I'm trying to say is that first and foremost, be conscious of your own vibration. Why? Because your own vibration will attract a corresponding vibration. Let me give you an example. The beings that I connect with right now are very, very different than the ones I connected with, say, a few years ago. And without the hierarchy of higher or lower, let's just say different, higher vibrating. In order for me to connect with high vibrating beings or consciousness, I have to vibrate on a similar level. Otherwise, they cannot reach me and I cannot reach them, which means I have to make sure that my own vibration is as high as it can possibly be. What does that mean? The higher we vibrate, the less we are ruled by fear, by negativity, by our own perceived limitations. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, be conscious of your intention. Why do you want to connect with them? Is it just for fun? Have a clear idea as to the reason why and ask yourself, are those reasons for your benefit? Is it for fun? It's like going to a store and saying, I want a dress. Do you want just any dress, or do you want a cocktail dress? Do you want a red dress? Do you want a dress that's a mini dress? Do you want a gown? It all depends what your intention is. Okay. Now, so that's the extraterrestrial, because that's where I got an anxiety. It's the anxiety is about, thank you, be careful what you ask for. You've heard the saying, be careful what you ask for, right? So number one, be mindful of your own vibration. If you are a very fearful person, if you yourself are a fairly anxious person, then that anxiety and anxiousness, fear is going to create a certain vibrational signature within you. That vibrational signature will attract corresponding vibrational signature, which means you may get connected with extraterrestrials, but they may not be the best option for you, okay? When it comes to angels, I think we all know that angels are fairly high vibrating. You don't need to do anything to connect with angels. All you have to do is ask. And ask, thank you, ask and it is given. So they may not show up to you with wings and say, "How, my name is Archangel Michael." They may show up to you as a feeling. They may show up to you as a message you see on a bus. They may show up as a message you hear in a song. They may show up as an intuitive prompting you have. So when it comes to anything, the words are ask and it is given, but making sure that your vibration is high. Okay, so for example, again, if you are vibrating at a low vibration, and I'm not saying you are, I'm just giving it as an example. Angels will come to you, but you will not be able to perceive them because of your own limitations, and we all have limitations. So that is what I want to say in terms of attracting other vibrations, because there is multitude of other vibrations and beings out there. I used to, and I believe many humans think that because they're non-physical, all of a sudden they're high vibrating. That's not the case. There's many low vibrating beings out there who are waiting for an opportunity to jump into somebody's aura and mess things around. I've seen it happen with my clients. And that's usually when we are vibrating very low, when we are depressed for prolonged periods of time. Every person gets depressed once in a while, but that's not what I'm talking about. When we're constantly at a very low vibration and we reach out to the non-physical, then oftentimes, and I don't want to scare everybody, but I've seen this with my own eyes, it can get tricky and dangerous. Okay, so what I want to say here is make sure that you are vibrating as high as you can. What does that mean? Thank you. It means be conscious of what you believe about yourself. If you believe that you are not a worthy person, then that is going to affect your vibrational signature. If you believe that you are not good enough, that's going to vibrate, that's going to emit a certain frequency. None of those things are true, but they're true to you. And as long as you are holding on to certain truth, that will be the vibration you emit. So that's on the vibration part. Now, I believe there was a question about food. So there is no black and white answer when it comes to what we put in our bodies. However, let your body be your guide. Obviously, and this goes without saying, if you live on cookies and chips, then you're not going to have a very healthy body. If you are eating mostly proteins, let's say, or meat, but you are not introducing live foods, then that's going to affect your body energetically speaking. So the more, I'm actually hearing, the more varied diet you have that is plentiful in live foods, which is alive foods, the better it is for your body overall, regardless, putting aside the spiritual stuff. When I was in Costa Rica and I was speaking to a being about my own diet, he literally said to me, "Joanna, once in a while, you're going to have beef." And I'm like, "Oh." But for me and for a woman, it's important to once in a while have beef, apparently. It is very helpful and it has to do with hormones. So that was something that was said from the being. And I trust him with my life. He healed me. Now, I understand that some people would listen to this and go say, "Joanna, you're crazy. How can you eat meat? You're killing animals." I get all that. I get it. Those are all different perceptions and perspectives, and they're all valid. I'm simply giving you what I was told. And what he said was very reasonable to me. He said, once in a while you need it because your body needs it. So I would just go with the simple rule of listen to what your body is telling you. So if you are someone who is living off of junk food, and I'm not saying you are, but just as an example, your sensitivity to what your body is saying to you or not may not be very high. You may have numbed your body to the point where you don't even know. But generally speaking, your body feels a certain way. Your body tells you what feels good and what doesn't. So rather than saying do this or do that, that's again me telling you what to do and I run in the other direction when somebody says do this or do that. I would rather you tune into your body and ask your body, what do you need? What does my body need? And try to go on your intuition and see what happens. Okay. And that is always the best way. Of course, there is the obvious. Try not to smoke too much, try not to drink too much, try not to drink too much coffee, try not to eat processed foods, the obvious things. Does that mean that you have to become a vegan or vegetarian? No, but that is my perspective. If you believe that that's what you need to do, then that's going to affect you. So I think that's what I have on that. Is there anything else? What I hear is what you perceive is important to you will be important to you. So for example, if you perceive that being vegan is important to you, then that's what you will believe. And anything against that, you're going to fight or you're going to resist. So tune in to your own body and ask your body in a meditative state, for example, what do you need? Here's an idea. If you want to participate in the Heal Your Relationship webinar, we will be connecting with your inner child. In that meditation, you can ask, tell me, what do I need? What do I need to feed myself in order to be as higher vibrating as possible? See what you get. Okay, so great question. Thank you, Megan.
Okay, next one. This is pretty good one because I think there's a lot of people might have this similar question. Okay, so this is from Gemma. She asks, I have been trying harder to be me and more in my truth in life. I've been met with a lot of shaming, dismissing, and people shutting me down. So I end up back in people-pleasing survival mode, which is not where I want to go. So her question is, how do I be me and trust that's okay?
So first and foremost, it is okay to be you. Just accept that. Now, you may, like I have, received a message at some point in your life that being you was not okay. That was the experience you needed in order to grow from that. So you've developed a certain way of doing things and you called it pleasing others. That was, as you call it, your survival. Now you are becoming aware and you are recognizing that you don't want to live in survival mode, which means what you want is something other than what you want. So what does that mean? Here's a survival. What's the opposite of that? Something different. So if you are used to pleasing people and that is your survival, the opposite of that would be being less of a pleaser. Now, here's what I want to tell you. The moment you decide to tackle that, your entire environment is going to be thrown in your face, right? Put right in front of you to push against you. Why? To keep you where you are. Why? Because it acts as a challenge. There's a saying, if you're learning, for example, to forgive somebody, all of a sudden you're going to attract people who are being assholes to you because you need to learn the lesson of forgiveness. So how are you going to learn the lesson of forgiveness unless you have someone to forgive? Okay. So unfortunately, this doesn't happen overnight, and it is also a grueling process. And the reason why it's grueling, because it's like, let's say you are, your dominant hand is right, and all of a sudden you have to do everything with your left hand. So just imagine waking up the next morning and doing everything with your non-dominant hand, and just imagine how frustrating that will be for a first little while until you get used to it. So there is no one way of doing it. And there is no such thing as cutting corners. But essentially, there's a couple of things. There is a lesson of acceptance here. Okay. So pleasing others is all about feeling loved and being accepted. So if we do things for other people in order to be accepted, then that means we are not in acceptance of ourselves. So in order to become less of a pleaser, you have to start doing less of pleasing others. But first and foremost, you have to start looking at yourself and ask yourself, where am I not accepting me? And this is where the work comes in, because it's not conscious. Usually it's the unconscious. Usually 9 times out of 10 is the work with your inner child, or another way to say it is your relationship with yourself. So the question may be, where are you betraying yourself? Where are you putting yourself, other people ahead of you? Where do you deny your true feelings and emotions because you're afraid that if you voice them, you're going to be rejected? So here's the truth. You may be, but then you have a choice. You may be rejected, which means these people, if they cannot handle your truth, means they're not meant to be in your life. So you either stay with where you are denying your truth, or you face losing certain people. And these people generally are your challenge. So some people will be accepting of your truth and some won't be. If someone cannot accept your truth in who you are, and that truth is important to you, then you have to decide. You either live your truth or you live their truth. And that's uncomfortable, especially if you've done it all your life. And I know what you're talking about because it's been part of my journey to be a pleaser, because very early in my life, it was communicated to me that as I was not good enough. Not only that, it was communicated to me that I was nothing, I would be nothing, and no one would ever want me. So I had to fit myself into other people's boxes and what I believed they wanted me to be, which means I didn't say much. I didn't rock the boat because I was afraid that if I do, I'm going to be abandoned. And then I had to eventually face it. It was scary as S-H-I-T, but that I didn't see any other option for me. It was either to stay and live in fear, or to face it and at least have an opportunity of something greater. And I couldn't stay where I was. So I took the chance. And lo and behold, it ended up being wonderful, because our fears are always going to be there to protect us, right? So there's a few-prong approach, inner child work, asking yourself, why do you please? What is driving your pleasing personality? What is driving your pleasing behavior? And chances are it's something to do with acceptance, okay? And if that's the case, then what you're basically saying, I want you to accept me. Well, the reality is many people already do. But if you don't accept yourself, you're not going to see it. You're not going to appreciate it. You're not going to trust it. You're going to feel that there's an agenda. Okay. So it is, unfortunately, I'm going to say the word unfortunately, because I want to put an exclamation mark. Unfortunately, it is a process and it is deep work. And I'm going to say it again. It is the hardest work you will ever do. So you have to decide, am I willing to undertake this hard work in order to experience freedom? Or am I not willing to do that because it's uncomfortable? Because yes, it is. At first, it will be very uncomfortable. I will always be upfront and honest about that. Why bullshit you? Why just give you bullshit? I might as well just give you the straight goods, and at least you know what you're talking about, what you're dealing with. And then you decide. So perhaps again, if you want to join us on the webinar and ask your inner child what it needs from you, because it's your relationship with you, you might get some interesting insights. Does that make sense, Felicia? Does that kind of answer? Because you're listening, so yep. You can kind of, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gemma. Great question. Fantastic question, by the way.
Okay, so next is Brandon. Brandon said, please help me and tell me what path I'm supposed to be going down. All my life, I felt different than everyone else and hated myself. Then died 3 times, and I'm still here. I want to know why.
I'm going to give you the answer, but I'm afraid it's not going to be something you're going to be happy with, or sorry, satisfied with. So there's a couple of things I want to say before I say that. Here again is an example where you're asking outside source to tell you what your path is. If I tell you your path, then I'm telling you what to do, aren't I? How is that empowering to you? Not only that, if I tell you what it is, how do you know it's true for you? You'll have to check within and ask yourself, is it true for me? So your path is not about what you're here to do. Your path is about what will you experience. So if I told you, and I'm not asking you to believe me, that's one of the things I will always say, don't believe me, but take a look at it. If I said that your job is to learn how to love yourself or how to accept yourself, will that satisfy you? Chances are probably not, because you're thinking in terms of, what do I do? Tell me what to do. It's not about the doing, it's about being. If you have always hated yourself, if that has been your challenge, then that is the challenge you're here to overcome. So if hating yourself is the challenge, what is the opposite of that? Loving yourself. So that's number one. Number two, you said you struggled with always feeling different. You're supposed to be different. But that's not really the problem. The problem is you feel like you don't fit in. That's really the problem, okay? Because we're all different. Have you noticed? Nobody's the same. But if you're trying to be like somebody else, why? That means you're not accepting you for who you are. And hence again, here is your journey. Self-acceptance. If you've died 3 times and you're here, then you're here for a reason. And it's not about what you're here to do, but rather what you are here to experience in terms of being. What would it take for you to be okay with being yourself? But that actually may be a very far out question, because you may not actually know who you are. Because if you've always hated yourself, then chances are quite high, like 99.9%, that you have rejected yourself. And as a result of that, you've gone to the outside trying to fill that void. That only works temporarily at best. This is again a classic example of self-rejection, which is your relationship with you. So again, I don't want to sound like a parrot, but if you're interested in getting insight of that, you might want to look into the webinar. Those webinars are designed to help you guys get in touch with yourself. It's not for me to tell you, because if I tell you, it's not empowering. It's me telling you. That's not what I want for you. If that's what you want for yourself, there's plenty of people who will take your money, who will say they know what's best for you. They don't. They may have an idea, like I have an idea, but at the end of the day, you still have to check with yourself. Are you just going to take my word for it? What if I'm a horrible, lying person? I'm not, but what if you came across around somebody who had an agenda? Worse yet, what if you came across somebody who professes to be a spiritual teacher, but they have no fucking clue about who they are because they haven't done their work? Then all they're going to tell you is their own perceptions based on their own stuff. You're going to believe that? So I would encourage you to first ask yourself a couple of questions. Where did I learn that it's not okay to be me? Number one. Number two, what are the aspects of myself that I hate and why? What is so fundamentally wrong with you that you can't accept you. Because here's the problem. If you are you, but you are not an acceptance of it, of you, you are in constant resistance to it. That's going to create havoc in your life and in your body. You are essentially fighting yourself every single day. And your body starts to fight you. So the lesson here, if you will, if it's something you're open to, is to learn how to love and accept yourself. And I will tell you from my personal experience, because this is something I've struggled with all my life, which is why I do what I do. When you start learning to love and accept in yourself, your entire existence changes. But at first it's very difficult because it's part of who you are. It's all you know. It's how you know to relate to yourself. And in order to start relating to yourself differently, it takes time. Also, if you hate yourself, your relationships are going to be mostly very unsatisfying, because you're going to attract people who on some level either are not going to accept you, or you feel like they don't accept you because you don't accept you. So again, this is an example of lifetime worth of work that you're asking the question and I'm answering them for you. I don't know if that's going to be satisfying, but there's a lot you can do, but none of it come without the appreciation for the work that it entails. Okay. And of course, I'm talking to you about this. You can always reach out. You can take webinars. None of these things are, let's start on Saturday and next Saturday, we're going to love ourselves. That is not how it works. That's why this work is not for the faint-hearted. And I would have not had the confidence to be this upfront about this a few years ago because I was a pleaser. And I wouldn't want people to go, oh my God, I don't want to say that because they're not going to like me. If you don't like me because I'm telling you that this is hard work, then what can I do? I'm only speaking the truth. Because how do I know that? Because I have to do it. I have to do it every day. The fears I have to face, the panic attacks I have to face in order to go through my old trauma, to be able to channel this material is hard work. And I'm not saying to feel bad for me. I'm saying it takes effort, commitment to yourself, courage, and time and practice. And patting yourself in the back and saying, I know I'm not perfect. I'm not supposed to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfection. In fact, you are perfect in all your imperfections. You are the way you are, precisely for the reasons why you chose to be on earth, in order to experience what you are experiencing so that you can get through it and move to the other side. Okay, so Brandon, great question. And I believe it's a question or a challenge that a lot of people have. So thank you for posing that question.
Thanks, Joanna. Next one is Sue. Sue asks, I have questions about difficult twin soul relationship. Is it possible to be decades older than your twin?
Twin which? Sorry, go back. Twin
soul.
Oh, twin soul
relationships. Okay. Yeah. Is it
Okay.
possible to be decades older than your twin? Second question is it possible to be the only twin aware of the connection? These are such weird connections and relationships.
So here's how I'm going to tackle this question. I've never subscribed to the whole idea of twin soul. It's never been part of my playing box. So I know that I'm not saying it's not real, but I believe these are labels that people give to create stories. And as long as you believe it, it's true for you. So I'm not going to answer it from the perspective of a twin soul or twin flame, because it's not my vocabulary. It's not how I've been trained. It's not part of my experience. However, I will answer it from a different perspective, from a slightly different angle. I believe what you are talking about is a relationship that is difficult for whatever reason, call it whatever you want to call it, but it's posing a challenge. So my question to you would be this: regardless of what you call it, of what you label it, or what parameters you put on it, what is the challenge? Because if you are experiencing a challenge, you're to grow from that challenge, regardless of what you call the thing. See, if you focus on the fact that it's a twin soul, then you give that focus versus what the challenge is. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Felicia? Okay. So I'm not saying don't call these things certain. I mean, if that's what gives you joy, if that's what gives you pleasure, if that's what gives you meanings, go forward. But I find these labels limiting. If you talked with Buddha and you said, tell me about my soul flame or twin flame, Buddha would probably say, what do you mean? So just be mindful of the labels we give to things, because I believe that we tend to complicate things by giving them labels. Okay? Because what you're talking about is a relationship. So if you're asking me, can I have a very challenging relationship that's very meaningful with someone who is a lot older, a lot younger? Yes. I don't care if you call it twin soul or whatever it is. You can have a challenging relationship with your pet. And we grow from the relationships with our pets. I've seen people having codependent relationships with their pets. Does that mean that they're your twin soul? I don't know. It's a label. So what I would encourage you to ask yourself is, putting the labels aside of what this is, what is the meaning behind your relationship? What's going on? What is being triggered? What is being poked in you? What is the challenge? Because if you are dealing with a challenge, then that challenge is presented to you so that you can grow from it, regardless of what you call it. And yes, can you have these type of relationships with people who are in different age? 100%, absolutely. So we have these attachments to the various labels. Attachment is all about the ego. It's all an illusion. So that's how I would tackle that question. Now, one of the questions was, it's something about, is it possible that I'm the only person that's aware
of the connection? Yep.
Of course, it could be one-sided, but it could be one-sided with anybody. It doesn't have to be a twin flame or twin soul. It could be, of course, it could be one-sided, right? Here's what I'm saying. Although I don't deal with twin flames, but what I'm sensing is people who term twin flame, soul flame, tend to have an understanding that these are some one-of-a-kind relationships that we are meant for each other in some way. So there is a lot of energies between two individuals. Call it whatever you want. And when they happen, it's generally because there is a lot to work through these relationships. There's always a challenge of some sort. So whatever challenge is presenting to you, that's what is being presented for you to work through. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so that's how I'm going to leave it. I hope that's helpful. Okay, but do yourself a favor. Don't limit yourself by putting too many labels or too many things, because that becomes limiting. Okay. Some people believe that there is this one flame waiting for them in the world, and it's going to complete them. Honey, if you're not feeling complete yourself and you're waiting for somebody to complete you, you've got a problem. Maybe that's the challenge. Waiting for somebody to complete you. You're already complete. Now, I understand we're wanting certain relationship to feel a certain way, but some people believe that there's only one person out there to complete them. Like, oh, yeah, you're getting into trouble by thinking that. You're just setting yourself up for a lot of trouble. Okay. Because what if you're not supposed to meet? You're gonna reject all other opportunities because somebody tells you they're not your twin flame? How do they know? Okay. I'm passionate about this, as you can tell. All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Sue.
Next, Ellen say, one second. Okay, hi Joanna. After much work on myself, that my deepest subconscious belief is I'm powerless. I conscious know that the subconscious is a liar, but how to deal with that in an everyday situation?
So here's what I'm going to say to you. Your subconscious does not lie to you. Your subconscious tells you your truth. It is your truth you hold about yourself that's a lie. That's very different. Felicia, when that comes across, do you understand what I mean?
I understand what you mean. I was just about to say, can you repeat slowly? Not because I didn't hear.
Yeah,
just
no,
because,
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
Your unconscious tells you your truth. It's not lying to you. It's actually telling you what your truth is. Your truth, how you see yourself, is a lie. So the way you see yourself is a lie, not your unconscious. Your unconscious is telling you how you feel about yourself. That's a lie. So if you're trying to reject your unconscious, you're basically rejecting your truth. So how do we deal with that? Great question. Thank you for asking. Where does this truth come from? At what point in your life, and this requires deep digging, did you receive the message that you are worthless or powerless? What has constituted in your life through your experiences to render you powerless? Because you're honey, you're not powerless. You are creating your reality. You just don't know you're doing it. That's how powerful you are. You creating situations where you are powerless is you creating powerfully because of your truth. So it's all to do with your identity, how you identify with yourself, how you see yourself. You have a certain view of yourself that renders you powerless. You believe that you are powerless. So here's what I'm going to say to you. I'm not laughing. You are the opposite of powerless. Now, here's the tricky part. In order for you to experience being powerful, you have to accept it. If you accept that you are powerless, you will experience being powerless. You first have to accept that you are powerful. That's going to take some time for you to embody. Because with the belief of being powerless come thoughts and ways of doing things or actions that feed the powerlessness. The moment you start looking at how you feed that in everyday life, how you talk about yourself, the stuff that runs between your ears, the stories you tell yourself, how you look at people, how you judge yourself, all these things is either feeding your truth or is creating new truth. And because we do it mostly unconsciously, generally we can't change it. So you have to become conscious of, how do I feed my powerlessness? How do I make myself small? How do I reject myself? How do I deny myself my feelings? How do I deny my truth? How do I shut my voice down? All these things feed your powerlessness. And as long as you keep doing those things, you are feeding the monster. So what's the antidote to that? Start recognizing what that is and start doing it less. By feeding it less, you are automatically starting to create another truth. Because when you become kinder to yourself, you start becoming more loving to yourself. When you start becoming more loving to yourself, you start becoming more accepting to yourself. When you start becoming more accepting to yourself, all of a sudden you realize life is accepting you. It changes your entire story, but it takes time. So, to put it very plainly, for 3D purposes, honestly ask yourself, how do you assess your own value? If your assessment of your value is that you're not good enough, then you have to look at, how is that true? How are you not good enough? Tell me. Well, because I had a situation some time ago and they told me I wasn't good enough. That was back then. That doesn't mean it's the truth. It was their perception. It's not the truth. It's your truth, but it's not the truth. Okay. So how do you do that? How do you diminish yourself? How do you put yourself second? How do you basically, how do you disempower yourself? And we do it every day for those of us who had issues with powerlessness. But because we are not conscious of it, we don't even think about it. How do you shut your voice down? If you are someone who tends to shove your voice down, then start practicing becoming more vocal in how you feel. Now, that's going to present a bit of a challenge for you, because when you start expressing how you feel, at first you're going to be, I'm afraid, what are they going to think when I say how I feel? What if they reject me? What if they don't? You see? Again, I think the healing relationships, all of these questions, guys, by the way, fantastic questions. All of these questions are indicative of your relationship with yourself. And that's all to do with inner child, because your inner child is the one that holds your story. If you feel powerless, it's because your inner child feels powerless. Because you clearly are able to manipulate the computer. You can turn on the Facebook, you have Wi-Fi, you know how to pay bills, you go to work. You're clearly not powerless, but you're not paying attention to that. You're not paying attention to all the things you do that are great, which means you're not focusing on that. You're focusing on the things that are negative. And when you are focusing on the negative, what you are experiencing is what you are focusing on. There's no other way. Great question. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Next one, Krisha. How do I know which path to follow in love or career when I feel my mood changes often about what direction I should go in?
Well, that sounds to me like you're confused. So what is causing your confusion? If you are confused, then you are not firm or clear on who you are and what you want. And that is a very dangerous place to be. Here's why. Because if you are not sure, then you're going to be relying on the outside to tell you. So I can, for example, tell you what to do. How is that empowering to you? I'm basically telling you what to do. So you are a follower. You're not your own leader. You're not in your own power. You are putting your power to me or somebody else to tell you. So this requires you knowing yourself. The ups and downs in moods, I mean, there could be various reasons for that. So I'm not going to get into that because that would be probably too personal. But you are unsure of who you are and what you want. And you will not know what you want unless you know who you are. And in order to know who you are, you have to listen. You have to tune in. You have to listen to your own inner voice. Not the negative stories, but your own inner voice. You have to be more in tune with your body, because your body always talks to you. You have to be more connected to the subtle frequencies that communicate to you all the time. Your higher self, let's use that analogy, communicates with you all the time. However, I suspect your fears are so high that it tunes it out, okay? And if that's the case, you might have an intuition, but your fear will come in and will go like this. So it's a constant back and forth. This is a situation of needing to know yourself well. If you don't know what you want, then you're not going to know what's good for you. And even then, there is an element of taking a chance and a risk. But if you are taking a chance and a risk on something you know you want, it's a lot better than taking a chance on something you don't know anything about. Okay, so again, I don't want to be the person to tell you what your path is, because it's me telling you what to do, and that is not what I do. That's not empowering to you. I will tell you, I can help you how to connect with yourself so that you can gain the insight, guidance, and wisdom that's already within you. See, you have it within you, but you're not able to access it for whatever reason. Your brain, your mind is too busy. You have to get past that somehow, and that takes practice. I can help you with that, but I will not tell you what to do because I don't know. I don't even want that information because it's disempowering to me. It's disempowering to me. Again, what if you come across somebody who's not aware and they tell you stuff based on their own shit? You're going to believe them? So you're going to go living life based on what somebody else says. How is that empowering to you? That's not you living in your own power. That's you living in your own powerlessness. That's not what I want for you. Okay.
And it's not going to make them happy at the end of the day.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Exactly.
Because even if I tell you what your path is, how do you know it's true for you? You still have to check within. So we had that, I think Brandon had a similar question. You still have to find a way of, is it what she is saying for me or is it not? Or are you just going to take it blindly? Because if you take it blindly, then I am telling you how to live your life. I'm not in the business of doing that. Great question, though. Thank you, Kisha.
Yeah.
Is it Krisha or Kisha? Krisha.
Krisha. Yeah.
Great question.
Okay. Next one, amethyst. So this is another type of questions where I think it's a he asks you, so will I have all I need to move to a more harmonious and healthy home before the new year?
That's me asking for prediction. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I'm reading it anyway. So amethyst, that's your answer.
But here's what I will say. You have everything within you that you need to make it happen, but you have to access it. If you want somebody to tell you, that's something that you have to hire to give your prediction. I don't play in that sandbox. Like I said, it's never resonated with me. I've always had a problem with it. That doesn't mean that I sometimes don't listen, but I don't make it my source of making choices and decisions. But you have everything inside of you to make it happen. How it comes about, or in what package, or in what order, you may not have control over that. That's something that the universe will provide. So what you want to do is you want to focus on what you want to experience. Have a very clear intention. And then ask yourself, if this is where I'm at and this is where I want to be, what is required of me to get me from here to here? Okay. And for reference, when I say here, what are your beliefs? What are your stories? If you want this, what beliefs and story do you have to have in order to live that life? And then you have to tune into that vibration and become that person. And then the physical will come as a result of that. Remember, you're a magnet. But there is an element of you do your part, the universe does its part. We have a tendency to want to control how we want things to be. And then we control our life away, and then we're still not happy. The whole idea is of learning how to trust that the universe will provide for whatever it is that you need. You have to play your part, the universe plays its part. But if you say, I want it this way or that way, not necessarily the best way to go. So trusting the process becomes very important. And our analytical mind, our ego has often challenged with trusting. So just know that you have everything inside of you to make this happen. It's just now aligning yourself towards it, okay? And when I say aligning, it's your mind, it's your body, it's your soul, okay? You're a magnet, so are you a magnet to it now? You'll know that, okay? All right.
Okay.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah. Next one, Nemo. She said, her question is about where is the balance between intuitions and letting go? She had very strong intuitive hits that something will return to her or come into her life, but it hasn't yet. but when is it time to let go? Or rather, how do you let go of something that you believe will be yours?
Can you read the first part again, please?
Sure. Where is the balance between intuition and letting go?
Okay, so just pause there for a second. To me, it feels like we're talking about two different things. So what I'm hearing you say is that you have an intuition that something will transpire, but you're not trusting it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think
Because-
it's about, yeah, it's kind of like, okay, she has a visualizations of something like a positive visualizations or desire.
Okay. Yeah.
If I have my intuition, the question is about, do I hold on to this visualizations, or I'm just letting it go and forget about it?
So it is not a black and white answer. Let me just see how to best answer this. Okay, so to let go means, thank you, to detach yourself from the outcome while at the same trusting that it will happen, but it may not happen exactly in the way you see it. I'll give an example. Right now, I am, as I said at the beginning, I am in my own transition from doing things in a certain way to doing things in another way. As I grow, naturally, the way my work happens will grow. Otherwise, I'm not growing. And you don't want to talk to me if I'm not growing, trust me. I know, and I've seen visions, and I have intuitive promptings where I'm going. But I'm not focusing on that. I'm just trusting the process is going to lead me where I need to go. So I don't attach myself to the outcome, yet I know intuitively the outcome is going to be good. So for the longest time, I had a vision of standing in front of people on a platform doing my work. And if I was to attach to that vision, I would be trying to stress out, how do I stand on a platform? Whereas this is a platform, YouTube is a platform, Instagram is a platform, my membership monthly program is a platform. All of these things are platforms. So I detached from the idea of seeing myself on a stage because I understood that that was a metaphor of being out there and doing work in front of groups of people. And I just trusted the process every day. And how do I do that? Well, I know and I feel when things are no longer working and I need to start shifting in the way I do things. I know it, I can feel it. So I'm sure you know it too. So that's the best answer. Let me just see if there's anywhere clear that I can. It's about trusting and knowing that what your intuition is telling you is going to happen, but letting go of the need to know the how and the when and the exact physicality of it. Because what you might be seeing is a metaphor, and under the metaphor, there's a certain vibration, but it may not come to you exactly in that package. But it doesn't mean that just because if it's not in the same package, it's not as potent or even better so. Because you may actually come to experience something you haven't thought about yet, just because you haven't thought about it. And your intuition is giving you some kind of an idea that you can connect with. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
So trusting that your intuition is guiding you and doing your best to not fixate on the how, the when, because if you already have an intuition, then you are probably being intuitively guided every day, what you should do, things coming to you, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you, what you should let go of, what you should open yourself up to, all these little things. Okay, great question though. Okay, yeah. One more.
All right. Okay, this also similar, but April said, hi, Joanna. She feels stuck. She needs to know how to move forward.
That's a very loaded question. So if you and I were talking together, I would say, what makes you think you're stuck? Because people say I'm stuck. Well, what does that mean? You're stuck. Like, are you stuck at home and you can't move? What does that mean? Right? So generally, when people come and say, Joanna, I'm stuck, I try to get things out of you. Because again, you have everything inside of you. You just don't know how to access it. So what are you stuck with? And here's what I found. Most people are not really stuck. They're stuck on how to get to the next stage, but it's not that they don't know. It's just that they're stuck in, how do I make this next thing happen? It's usually because of our fears. So we would have to explore, what are your fears? What are you stuck on? If you are stuck, then that means you're resisting, because here life always moves. If you're stuck, then that means you're not wanting to move, or you're not allowing something to move into your life. So we have to look at why. What are you resisting? What are you not willing to let go of? What are your objections? What are your fears? And then go from there. So this question cannot be answered like that without actually understanding where you're at. But those are some of the questions you want to ask yourself. What am I resisting? What am I no longer resonating with, but I'm holding on to for dear life because I'm afraid? What are the fears? And they're very real. And are those fears real, or are they just projections from my past? Because if they're projections from my past, which is usually the case, you are living in your past, which means you're going to resist. Because if you're in your past and you're trying to go there, it doesn't work. It's, again, asking deeper questions of yourself. Who am I? What do I believe about myself? Where do I want to be relative to where I am right now? Now, you may not have the physicality of where you want to be. Like, you may say, I don't know where I want to be, but I'll tell you what you do know. You do know how you would rather feel. So if you're feeling A, but you want to feel B, then the question is, what would make me feel like B? And start doing that, direction. So my work is very much about prying things out of you, because you're a wealth of information. You are a well of information. My job is to help you reach that so that you can see it. So because when you see it, you can do something about it. If you have no awareness, of what the problem is, you cannot fix the problem. You can't. So again, where are you now? And where do you want to be relative to where you're right now? If it's to do with the feeling, what is required of you to move into that feeling? For example, I want to be happier. This is just an example. What makes you happy? I don't know. Tell me the last time you were happy. Well, the last time I was happy, I was dancing. Boom. Here is something that makes you happy. Go dancing. Now, that's just an example. And the thing is that because we get so stuck in our head, we don't look at these things. And again, that's where awareness comes in. Okay. If you want a better job, okay. So what does it mean for you to have a better job? Is it a better paying job? Is it a better satisfying job? If it's a better paying job, okay. If you are not getting paid what you believe you are worth, then we look at what do you believe your worth is? Because if your belief is that you're not worthy or not worth very much, you're not going to attract the job that pays you more. Or if it does, you know what you're going to do? You're going to fuck it up. You're going to sabotage it because it's going to go against your truth. If you want a more satisfying job, okay, perfect. What do you believe would make you more satisfied? I don't know. Okay, what used to make you feel more satisfied? See, there's a way of asking questions to draw the answers, but that requires time, and it's a process. And it really requires looking in the mirror. And if there's anything I know about the ego doesn't like that. So that's what I would say for you, April. It's start investigating your own truths. Okay. I hope that was helpful.
I believe it is. Are we good? We're like an hour in
Yeah,
already.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for posting these questions. I actually did it a bit as an experiment because it kind of came to me this morning. I wanted to see the type of questions people are asking. And just as I suspected, the type of questions most people are asking is, tell me how to, tell me what to do. And it's like, wow, I really have a lot of work ahead of me, because it's like my job is to help people, to train people how to think differently, how to access their own information, how to access their own wisdom. It's not about me telling people what to do. And the type of questions that people ask are indicative in where they're vibrating. So this was a fantastic experiment. And I hope that by answering the questions the way I have answered them for you, even though they may not necessarily have been answered the way you wanted me to answer them, but they gave you something to think about. Perhaps the way I answered those questions help you shift your perception on how you look at your question. And the moment you change your perception, everything else changes, right? So thank you for doing that. I also wanted to do this experiment because my team has been kind of nudging at me to do webinars on Q&A, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do Q&As and people ask me, oh, tell me when am I going to get my next job, because that doesn't bring me happiness. If anything, I resist it a lot, and it takes my energy away, because it's not what I love. It's like asking a cook who is skilled at pastry to cook roast beef. Well, it's a pastry chef. It's not a beef chef. You know what I mean? So, but if you're interested in having webinars of that nature, I would love to do that, because exploring questions and giving it a different flavor or giving it a different spin or perception helps people shift their thinking. And I'm all about shifting thinking. As a matter of fact, I was reminded this morning, a couple of years ago, I was at the gym. Usually stuff comes to me when I'm at the gym. They said to me that my team said to me, I'm like a mind surgeon, which was interesting, because what does a surgeon do? A surgeon takes things and, right? And I'm my mind surgeon. It's I extrapolate things in the mind. Like I help things become visible. I bring things up to the awareness, and anything that's not working, we take care of it. So it's like slicing and dicing the mind. So again, if you're interested on having webinars of that nature, make a comment. But thank you, all of you, for all the questions that you've asked. I thoroughly enjoyed this. All right, and I hope to see you on the webinars. The link is down below. Okay, take care of yourself, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.